Hey, Anime Addicts, this is Mitsugi. Did you know that you can now support the podcast without having to subscribe to our additional content? We are now Amazon affiliates. If you go to supporttheaddicts.com, you scroll down and you click that link. Really, I just think to myself, whenever you buy something on Amazon, just always go to supporttheaddicts.com and scroll down and click that link first, and then anything you buy on Amazon within 24 hours of clicking that link will give the podcast a royalty. So you may not have the money to subscribe every month, but you may have the need to buy toilet paper, in which case you can still help the podcast out by going to supporttheaddicts.com. You just scroll down, you click the link, and you're off to the races, giving the podcast a sweet royalty and your love. And now, time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAApodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hi everyone, welcome to the newest episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, episode 662. We are dedicated to making your anime addiction worse, and you can do that by finding us on Twitch, twitch.tv/AAA podcast. We are live every Sunday, 5 p.m.-ish EST. We're a little late this week, but it's okay. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Discord, the definite place to be for all of your anime conversations and whatnot. And with us today, because I forgot to introduce them, we have the lovely co-host Mason. Hello, Mason.
Hello. Very forgettable over here. It's what I do best, but just glad to be a part of it.
Great. I'm glad to have you, and I'm glad to have Mitsugi, who rolled out of his deathbed. He is not feeling well, but here he is, just for you.
That's right. Mitsugi's here. I am sick. I don't know what I'm sick with, but, it doesn't matter because nothing is going to stop me from podcasting today because I'm just a deranged, hopeless individual. I will be here till I'm 72, and I hope you will be as well. Oh, and I'm drinking a gold
Which will
monster.
be next year, I'm thinking,
That's right. That's so great. You remembered. You remembered my birthday. That's right. This coming August, I will turn 72, and I will then subscribe to the monthly adult baby diaper subscription because I will be incontinent. I'll be peeing myself.
We will get you
That's
that
right.
subscription for your birthday.
That's right. And poor Pancake. She's going to have to change my diapers, but that's okay. I got my gold monster. So for now, let's let her go, baby mother. Let's do it.
We should get Mitz some matching gold dentures to finally complete the set.
Oh, shit.
And maybe we can add those gold dentures to our merch shop. Get your AAA dentures here. You can possibly find them if we create them at www.aashop.info, where we have shirts and hats and stickers and water bottles so you could be a hydro homie like Mason.
Just do it!
Please.
Just
and
do it.
Thank you.
That's right.
Now,
it took us 100 years to get the shop made. You could at least go to aashop.info. Check out all the swag. That's right.
Yes. I still need to get stuff for myself. I can't believe I haven't ordered anything yet. But I need to do that. And we have something very exciting coming up. Mitsugi, would you like to explain, or do you want to save your voice?
My voice is already hopeless. I'm coming for Steve Bloom's ass. Sorry, Steve. You might have the sexiest voice I've ever heard, but if I get any sicker, I'm gonna be coming for you. So on the so on the Anime Oscars, voting is gonna be up pretty soon. So probably by the time this episode comes out on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to your podcasts, you will be able to vote in the Anime Oscars. And the best part about this is actually that the fall 2022 anime are included. If you can believe it. I know it's hard to imagine. Unlike some places that are very reputable, we actually include these anime. So if you go to www.voteanime.life, you will be able to vote for the anime Oscars in our polling. The poll will run for about a month, and then the results of which will feed into our Anime Oscars award show, where you will find out which anime you in fact think are the best anime from 2022. So again, by the time this comes out, voteanime.life. You'll be able to vote. For those of you that are on Twitch right now, it's not up yet, but about 5 days from now when this posts, you'll be able to do it. So voteanime.life. Don't let me down. I'm sick. I'm here for you. It's the least you can do is to, vote.
I need to get on to making some trailer videos because I did that last year and it came out pretty good. But yeah, the pressure's on. I need to get started with that. But let's get started with our episode where you can look forward to our main topic today, Deus Ex Machina anime. Animes that have the best Deus Ex Machinas. Mason, how do you pronounce it?
No, you did fine. Deus Ex MachinANIME.
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 Oh, by God.
Yeah.
Silent Elephant Kenny. Oh, man.
And we also have some Unexplored Pictures and the first round of Winter Impressions. But first, as always, we have our big news of the week.
Let's do it.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Somebody was talking to Shinichiro Watanabe. I don't know why exactly. I feel like he's not terribly relevant at this right now, but anyway, so somebody decided that they just couldn't live without hating on the Cowboy Bebop live action. So someone did an interview. Forbes did a candidate career interview with Shinichiro Watanabe, and they just couldn't resist asking him about the Cowboy Bebop live action. So they wanted to clarify the amount of involvement he actually had in the live action on anime or the live action Bebop on Netflix, because indeed in the credits he is credited as a consultant. If you watch the show, God help you, and he actually admitted that he had, quote, practically none. His involvement was almost zero. So he actually says he has not actually watched a single episode of the show from start to finish, and they, quote, sent me a video to review and check. It started with a scene in a casino, which made it very tough for me to continue. I stopped there, and so only saw the opening scene. It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop.
I love how the fact that it was in a casino was like, I can't. I just can't.
Well, I think only one episode of Bebop even features a casino. I could be wrong. Faye does sit around and gamble a lot, but Gateway Shuffle, which I think is episode 4 of Bebop, takes place a lot in a casino on a ship, and I think that was pretty much it. So he's just clearly displeased that the live action went the way it did, and the fans that were watching were displeased as well because Netflix waited like a whopping 90 hours to cancel the second season. He continued that he realized that it could simply not be Cowboy Bebop unless he became more involved. He chose not to do this and wonders if he should have. But he does also note that the live action has made the Bebop anime more, quote-unquote, valuable nowadays. So it is, I guess, more on people's minds. But I sense that Shinichiro Watanabe regrets maybe not being as active because they just simply fucked it up. So he also talks about the Animatrix, but I don't really care. So just interesting little tidbit that he himself, Shinichiro Watanabe, the man behind Bebop, simply does not think the live action was very good either. So if you are one of those people like me who went on a fucking rant about it, you are actually correct.
And a song. A whole musical number.
You're factually correct. So, yeah, because the creator agrees with you, so it's not good. And that's about what I have for the big news. More interesting stuff in the news break. Mason?
I mean, just because the creator thinks something is bad doesn't mean it is bad. But in this case, it is true. My big news of the week is that we finally got the announcement of when the Kaguya-sama film is coming to theaters near you if you happens to be located in North America. So Crunchyroll and Aniplex announced they will screen Kaguya-sama Love is War, the first kiss that never ends, quite a mouthful, in North American theaters on February 14th for a 2-day event. Interestingly
Meaning
enough,
also the 15th, right?
That's what I assume, but I didn't click any further. All I know is it's Valentine's Day. That's what matters, right? The film will screen in Japanese with English subtitles. I don't believe there is any dub announcement. So if you are someone who listens to the dub, I'm sorry, they only have the Japanese audio, at least in this release, and tickets are available now, right this second, if you are interested in going to see it.
Well, I highly recommend that you go and buy those tickets as soon as possible, because you could be me who decided to look at Fandango and say, hey, I kind of want to go see it in theaters if I can,
might be
February
nice.
14th or February 15th, either work. And it's completely sold out.
Oh wow.
And the
Tragic.
closest theater to me is
Wow.
like an hour away. So that is not ideal. So yeah, look up
Yeah.
your tickets soon
More,
as you can.
More importantly, you need to go get your tickets to Blood and Honey, the horror movie
Winnie the
featuring
Pooh.
featuring Winnie the Pooh, who will murder Christopher Robin and everybody else in the 100-Acre Wood. Coming to a theater near you. I think the 15th, around the 15th of February. Yes.
What a
Karen,
great Valentine's Day date.
well, it's just Disney is such an old company that their IP is expiring. So, and now they're just gonna just run roughshod on, like, Mickey Mouse expires next year. So they're just gonna run roughshod on all this. Next
I
year,
can't believe that Winnie the Pooh expired before Mickey Mouse.
Yep, he's actually older. If you can believe it. So
Well, did you know that the first Winnie the Pooh stories, his name wasn't even Winnie the Pooh?
I did. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the first. I think it starts with an E. It's not Eddie or something, but
Oh my God.
Winnie the Pooh used to not be called Winnie the Pooh.
Well, now he's Jason Voorhees, because I've seen the trailer and he looks
How
like
how big is he? I've seen
he's
Is he like a Five Nights at Freddy's size?
yeah.
he's basically a human and wearing like a Winnie the Pooh mask, sort of like a horribly deformed one that will haunt your dreams. You can go watch the trailer. All I
Are
know
you
is,
gonna go see it?
fuck yeah, I'm gonna see it. Are you kidding? Yeah, fuck yes. And I'm gonna save my macros and eat like the most Titanic cheeseburger ever in the theater. It's gonna be delicious.
I love that for you.
Thank you. I'll be sure to tell you all about it.
Yes, and probably in a Hobby Addicts, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I didn't have any news myself because I think I was just about to copy and paste the headline for Mitsuki's story, the Bebop one, and literally I come back to the next page and you have already copied and pasted
Oh,
it.
I
I'm
took
like,
it from
"Damn
you.
it,
See?
I was so close.
See, even sick. I mean, he's on his game. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
and I fixed my audio. It sounds better. So something about
Hooray.
tightening that 3.5 millimeter cable just fixes everything.
Oh, I'm
Oh
glad.
yeah. So, all right.
Shall we get to our main topic today?
I'm excited, honestly.
Yeah, the main
Yeah.
topic is that Winnie the Pooh's original name was Edward.
Huh.
And
Well, I
that's
can
it.
see why they
Let's
changed
move on
it.
to our news break.
Wow, that was quick.
No. Our main topic today is Deus Ex MachinANIME, which is a topic that was actually requested by Clique Citel.
Yeah.
I do not know how to say their name. That's probably more correct. A great supporter
our
on
Discord.
Patreon
Yeah.
and Discord. Super cool. And they write the biggest rug pulls, I think I'm
Was
reading
it
that as
ass
the
pulls,
biggest ass
technically?
pulls
Yeah.
or the dumb Deus Ex Machina ranking. So, for those who don't know, a Deus Ex Machina is not, as our Twitch chat is saying, a future diary character, but it is. But it's not that. A Deus Ex Machina, or God out of the machine is what it translates to, is a plot device where things are resolved or tidied up in some sort of unsatisfying answer. It comes out of the blue, and it's very much of the writer seems to have written themselves into a corner and needs some sort of hilarious ass pull to get themselves out of it. A good example, not perfect, but a good one, is in the film version of Lord of the Rings, where all of a sudden eagles come by and save the day. Like, I get it in the books, are a little better established, and there's a little more of a through line, but essentially, we needed to save the hobbits. Why not eagles? Sure, that works, and you feel a little gypped by it. It's not bad. So, we're going to go through some of the most prevalent ones or atrocious ones in anime, and by virtue of the segment, there will be a few spoilers. We will be doing our best to avoid them, especially in the more recent examples. but it kind of is the case. So you should have watched these shows or just skip ahead to impressions. And yes, some of these probably can be argued to the teeth with like assumptions and adjustment in perspectives and weird logical fallacies. But for the most part, just relax. Let us know what your biggest Deus Ex Machinas are, and we'll just say what we think are the worst ones or the most egregious. So who wants
And
to
as we
begin?
mentioned, it will also include ass pulls, which aren't really the same as Deus Ex Machinas, but I guess they would just be considered similar in that they come out of nowhere and they try to make narrative sense, but they just don't.
They don't. It's the ones something happens and you're like, oh, come on. That would... Like, it doesn't feel earned in any way. So,
Yeah.
Would you like to start, Caroline?
Oh, I would love to.
We'll go right
so
ahead.
I have like 5 here, and I'm starting from like the least egregious one I can think of up to the top. So the first one I have on my list is My Hero Academia and how One for All is transferred. So in order for someone to inherit the quirk One for All, they have to consume something with the current holder's DNA. Which is fine.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I can think of
Deku
a few
eats
things.
All Might's hair, and so he has One for All. Later on, Deku fights the villain Stain, who has a quirk that requires consuming blood. He consumes Deku's blood for his own quirk, which should be very concerning, because DNA. But no, All Might
DNA.
tells Deku later on that One for All can only be transferred willingly. So because he pulled out the hair and gave it to Deku, and he did it like, oh, I want to give One for All to Deku, that's fine. But because Deku was cut and his blood was consumed by Stain, that was not willing. So therefore, One for All is not transferred, which is just really strange. And it's just an illogical rule, which I know My Hero Academia is not really the most logical anime, but it just does not seem to follow sense in this world. And it just feels like Horikoshi just threw it together as if he forgot that detail when he wrote Stain and his quirk in the fight, etc. So that is not too egregious, but still I'm like kind of thinking that is strange.
So when Deku takes All Might's power, he has to consume his DNA?
Yes, in order to get One for All, it could be blood, it could be hair, it could be other things.
Willingly, though.
Willingly. Stop it!
Well, you know,
It would work.
DNA comes in many forms,
That's
even if
so
it
gross.
is your
No, that
liquid.
actually no. Now that I think about it, that requires a jelly bean.
Oh, Tinko Karaseki Dashite. All right.
That means.
Yeah, you don't want to know. All right, so very good. That's a great place to start. I love it. Man, something about anime it made me feel so much less sick in the last. Maybe it's you guys.
Maybe it's the power of friendship.
Maybe we're the cure after all.
This is the Deus Ex Machina. Mitsuki
sounds
had
like
the
an
podcast.
asshole.
I had the podcast today, and the power of friendship has cured my illness, much like it did for Kuwabara.
Oh, Mason, maybe the more that we always try to kill Mitsugi, but maybe we're the ones that bring him back every time.
Yeah, really, it
Sorry.
was.
I did not realize I was interrupting a really
Caroline
great
just,
segue.
Caroline just
Continue.
mauled my segue into oblivion.
So sorry, I did not intend.
Oh my lord.
So sorry.
Oh man. So speaking of the power of friendship, in Yu Yu Hakusho, which has a lot of Deus Ex Machina in it, in the Dark Tournament, Kuwabara is in a fight that he pretty much won't win because he's already 90% dead. He's like barely able to walk, and he kind of limps into the ring, bleeding, screaming with pain, all this because he just finished fighting, and he's gonna do a suicide attack to win for his team. Because they only need like one more win. So he's going to suicide, take the other guy with him, and then that will make his team win, but Kuwabara will die. Suddenly, Yukina, the character who Kuwabara loves, who is Hiei's, well, it's a spoiler sort of, but you know what, this anime is like 30 years old, so get off your ass and watch it. Yukina is Hiei's sister, and also Kuwabara's love interest. She arrives at the arena and somehow restores Kuwabara's energy to full simply by her cheering for him, and he knocks his opponent across the stadium with one shot and wins the fight easily. So basically, he's gonna die because plot, and then Yukina comes in, and much like Hana, sort of, from Aoashi, cheers for Kuwabara, and instantly he's able to blow his opponent away with the power of love. Now, that being said, I love the Dark Tournament. It's a little long, honestly, and when you really think about the fact that they do another tournament later in Yu Yu Hakusho, Yu Yu Hakusho is mostly just a tournament anime, which is really kind of shitty, despite the fact that it's got a great premise and phenomenal characters, which is probably why people love that anime, but
I thought you loved Yu Yu Hakusho.
oh, I do. It's amazing. Practically, I think most shonen fans love Yu Yu Hakusho because it's great. But
just because something has a Deus Ex Machina, we're going to talk about shows we like, and I would agree. I feel like the Dark Tournament arc has loads of these ass pulls, but it's still great television.
It's great.
It's still great content.
It's great, and there's a lot of...
These are Deus Ex Machina's the anime, which I will definitely bring up later on my list.
There's a lot of like stuff in the Dark Tournament besides fighting. You know, Yusuke's in that cave absorbing his new power from Genkai, but if you add up all the episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho that are tournament episodes versus non-tournament, it's like 60 to 70% tournament. So it's just kind of funny, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Mason, I believe it's your turn. Make it a good one.
Yeah, we got to start with probably one of the biggest ones, which collectively is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Araki, the mangaka, is known for just writing things and coming up with crazy powers and then getting to a point where he's like, wow, I don't know how they're going to get out of this one, but as the fans say, it just works. And one of the most prevalent ones that I feel like is a Deus Ex Machina is at the end of part 3, everyone's favorite Jotaro and his Star Platinum just kind of spawns the ability to compete with the bad guys, Dio's, the world power. And we don't need to get into exactly what that power is, but this
Zawarudo!
Star Platinum is just like, how about I also have a similar power because I need to, and I can also do stuff within your power, and you're dead now. Pretty much is how it works. So part 5 has them, part 6 has, like, it's all over the place, but part 3 Star Platinum evolutionary development powers, which one can make a case for isn't an ass pull, but we all know it is pretty egregious, despite the fact that that ending sequence in part 3 is probably one of the highlights in all of JoJo. So still good, just a little silly.
All right, my next one comes from what has been memed as one of my favorite anime, because it's not like my absolute favorite, it's just one of mine, Attack on Titan, because Eren, this is a spoiler, sorry.
Uh-oh, come
Eren,
on. For which season?
It's from a most recent season.
Season 3,
it came out,
part 2.1a.
It came out less than a year ago, technically.
Season 4, part 1, subsection B,
yes.
Title.
Appendix 1A of the contract. Yeah.
Alpha. So Eren activating the rumbling by himself. Because, I mean, this could be feasibly retroactively explained by the end of the anime, because I have not gotten there. I haven't been reading the manga, so I wouldn't know what happens at the end. But there is no good reason why Eren should have been able to activate the rumbling, because we are told, it's established that only a member of the royal family has the ability to control Ymir and therefore the ability to start the rumbling. And yet Eren, in the little field plane that Ymir is in, he was able to just yell at her to start the rumbling. He was like, "That's a guy!"
What was he like?
And that starts the rumbling. That's a guy!
Funny.
Fight, as he
yeah.
always says. And that's just really silly, because he's met with the realization that he cannot do the rumbling. She's not listening to him. She will only listen to his half-brother, who is royalty, technically. And he's like, ha ha ha, you can't do anything, Eren. And he's like, no, I'm going to make Ymir so pissed off at her situation that she will listen to me. And it just works. It just works. Apparently. So, yeah. I'd say it's pretty Deus, if I do say so myself.
I feel so bad. I just can't keep up with the plotline of Attack on Titan, so I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. But it's okay.
I can't hear someone talk about the rumbling without hearing the second OP in my head.
Rumbling.
Yeah, rumbling. It's burned into my mind.
I just hope that Pooh Bear says, "I have a rumbly in my tumbly for your blood."
Ooh,
So
that'd be good.
We'll have to see that. All right, back to me. In Initial D, which is an anime that is pretty dope, and I hope that MF Ghost should be pretty soon now. So I'm hoping that's good. But in Initial D, this is a spoiler. I mean, these animes are old, so don't complain to me. In Initial D, there's a race pretty far into the anime. I think it's in stage 4, which is like towards the end of the anime. Takumi is battling the Todo School's rally driver with the school's demo car, which everybody knows that Takumi is going to lose the race because he's basically racing a professional with a far better car. Of course, that's pretty much how Initial D goes the entire time, and Takumi pretty much always defies the odds. But many like rounds into this race, so in Initial D, if nobody clearly wins the race, they just do it again and again and again. It becomes like a stamina event, and like in Gran Turismo when you do like 50 laps. So they can't seem to separate from each other, and they're both so exhausted that they're not really able to race aggressively enough to pass anybody in like these narrow back roads in the dark. So eventually a weasel jumps out of the bushes in front of the opponent's car right before the final corner. The driver swerves to miss the weasel, which allows Takumi to pass the opponent, not even seeing the weasel at all, because at that moment in time he happened to have his lights off, because that's a thing that Takumi will do sometimes when he's trying to pass an opponent. But basically a weasel jumps out and gives Takumi the race, which is ridiculous. And that's like after probably 3 episodes of them just having to race each other over and over again because nobody can seem to win. So it's pretty stupid.
Won by a weasel.
Yeah.
That's right.
What? That is so stupid.
It's pretty stupid. Yeah, but Initial D is great though, but at least they play
So
that sweet music the entire time. So
Not the rumbling one, the other.
Vroom, vroom, vroom,
Vroom,
vroom.
vroom.
engines rumble too.
That's good. That's good.
Ergonomic from the chat says that the weasel make it out. Yes, so the driver literally swerves to miss the. Man, if I had been racing for 3 hours or something, and I wanted to win this fucking race, I'm sorry, I'm driving right through that fucking weasel, for sure. Sorry, bro. Shouldn't have been in the road, but yes, the weasel.
But maybe
does
you
live.
do that, the blood gets on the tires, gets in the treads, and then you lose the traction you need, and then you lose the next round.
I'm pretty sure Mandy is just shuddering wherever she is right now.
It's fair,
I feel a
it's not
disruption.
weasel, it's slightly
I
different.
feel disruption in the force.
All right, Mason, you're up.
Speaking of little weasels, this one, I think most people will have seen this one. This is Pokemon, the first movie.
Oh my god, this is Pikachu.
Classic. Well, Pikachu is the weasel.
He's a mouse.
Whatever. Small mouse, electric mouse. Classic late 90s movie that I think everyone still holds near and dear to their heart. It's pretty cool. But there is a moment where Ash is very obviously turned to ash after getting just yeeted by a beam from Mewtwo. And he turns to stone or something. And everyone's like, oh, it's okay. Pikachu, just shock him a bit. And Ash does not revive. And everyone's like, oh, shoot, he's dead. Ash has canonically died in the Pokemon universe. And that makes all the children and Pokemon cry. And the tears of Pokemon, said to be imbued with life itself, bring Ash back to life from stone. And he's alive again. And no one ever brings it up again. And they just move on. Like, that was a thing that happened, which is very silly. I wonder, though, like, if Pokemon tears do actually contain life and can resurrect people, why are we not harvesting that and making all these poor Pokemon cry to save others? Regardless.
Well, maybe it's an MHA thing where they have to be willingly.
Yeah, the willing consumption of tears by your
because
stone
obviously will
master.
can define what exactly something does biologically.
In a world
Exactly.
we must defend.
That movie slapped. It was so cool.
So Pikachu actually tries to do like He's trying to use the little heart paddles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Claire. Claire.
does-
Doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't think that it would do anything to a rock.
Okay. Pokemon is great. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, is it my turn? Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot.
I could just let this theme song play the whole time, but unless we
Sure,
talk
go
about
ahead.
Pokemon again, in which case I'll bring it back.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Okay.
well, you know, you
the next
can't have
thing on my
everything,
list
Caroline.
here. The next thing on my list here is Death Note. Near and Mellow, the two pink elephants in the room. So L, of course, Kira's biggest and best enemy. If anybody was going to take Light down, it was going to be freaking L. It had to be L. No one could possibly compare to his capability of beating Kira. And then Light won. He did. L, spoilers, died. He's
What?
dead. Light won. He did it.
Shinda?
Yes.
That can't be.
Shinda. Then that if that was what they were going to do, that should have been the end of Death Note. Because honestly, I kind of wanted Light to win just because it would be fun. If
I mean,
did.
L was terrible anyway.
Well, I liked L.
He's
But
he's
it either should have
obnoxious.
L won or Light won. Those are the two options, not Light won, but let's bring in two unknown characters with stupid names and who are never mentioned or seen once in the story
Eminem.
before that point to be L's inferior replacements. And somehow these two dimwits is what brings him down. It just sucks. And that really, I love Death Note, I do. But in my mind, I kind of, once L dies, that is the end for me. That is my preference.
Should have picked a better letter, honestly. Nobody likes the letter L. Come on. Think about it.
I mean, I like it's
Big
a fine
L.
letter.
Big L.
You just like that. You just like it because you have an L in your name, okay? So why don't you just admit that you're biased and we can all move on.
You're right. You're right.
Us
Why did-
non-L,
nothing gets past you.
us non-L people are gonna like continue on, and you can just be sad. All right, so this is my last Deus Ex Machina. I have a couple rug pulls if I even did them correctly, but this is a big spoiler for the Dragon Ball Super movie that just came out. So you know what? Fuck it, honestly, because you need to be warned.
Spoilers
Okay.
are coming.
There it is.
Oh my god.
In the Dragon Ball Super movie, some of the dumbest shit happens that I do not approve of as a big time Dragon Ball fan since I was a kid. Basically, Piccolo knows he can't defeat these androids that he's going to have to fight. So he goes to Dende to have the power of the Eternal Dragon revised, and then they summon the dragon and ask the dragon to give Piccolo a new transformation that makes him powerful enough to fight the big bad guy. Also, Gohan miraculously skips Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan to go straight to Ultra Instinct. He just skips like 600 episodes of progress all at once along with Piccolo's like yellow, like weird orange yellow form. Like, I don't know what the fuck. He looks like Piccolo looks like a hot pepper that's been ripened for too long, and he's like starting to go from green to like orange, basically. And their combined power is enough to win, but like they're just like pulling these characters' powers out of their asses to keep them relevant. And it's just ridiculous. So honestly, they should have just been asking the Eternal Dragon to give them fucking, transformations from the very beginning of the damn show, honestly. And then he wouldn't have had to, spend so much fucking time training. So, Mason, you're up.
The classic, oh, I wish for more wishes. And they're like, you can't do that. And you're like, I wish I could.
It's like, you
Checkmate.
can't wish for... I can't wish for someone to fall in love, but I can wish for enough power to destroy half the universe. Okay. All right, yeah, that makes sense.
You can't mess with the power of love, Mitsuki.
This next one,
It's just oxytocin. It'll be okay.
it's a bit more of an ass pull, but it is kind of similar to Caroline's Death Note complaint, because this one is the similar Code Geass, which is a pretty fun show where our main character Lelouch has the ability to command people by looking into their eyes. He can command them to do whatever he wants. And around episode 22 in season 1, things are going really smoothly. Like, the conflict is about to be over. Everything is going to wrap up nicely. Happiness. Everyone's going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya because we are about to win. Everything has been solved. And the writers are like, man, I really want this to go on a lot longer. I've got a lot more ideas. I want to milk the series a bit more.
Milk it.
What if our Lelouch just said a silly joke where he was like, wouldn't it be crazy if, I told the leader of this country to kill all these people? Like, just, for fun, as an example, like, hey, I have this power, and if I look people in the eye, as he looks in her in the eye and says, and tell you to kill all these people, you would have to do it. And so she goes out and has to kill all these people to create this massive slaughterhouse to keep the story going, because now
gun, right?
the piece has been ruined.
Does she machine gun them?
She has like a little pistol, but I think because she's a ruler, there's guns all over the place now. And like machine guns and whatnot. And
that's
so
the same
now
where doesn't she mow down like 20 people? I haven't watched anime in like 15
hundreds
of people.
Yeah, because she's like, kill everyone, and they're like, well, I guess we should. Obviously it's a little more nuanced than that, but it's really not. It's a twist just to keep the story going, and it's unexpected but not in a good way. And
it's a great anime.
It's once again, fantastic show. Highly recommend it. It's a bunch of fun, but
yeah,
can't always take that show seriously. But Code Geass, pretty good.
Code Geass is a mixture of silliness, unlikelihoods, but has a lot of like good plot twists in it that make the show really easy to watch. And wow, it got one hell of an ending. So
Jibun Wo, am I right, everybody?
It's fucking good. So I don't like, what's the guy with the white mech? Shizuka.
No, I think you're right. It's like Shizuka.
He's a fuck in that anime. Every time Lelouch is about to pull something off that's like incredible, this annoying ass mech shows up and just fucks it all up. I hate that guy. He's just the worst.
Suzaku.
Suzaku is
what
I was
it
close.
is.
I almost said Shizuka, but that means quiet, so it's not a really good name.
I think.
Yeah, Suzaku.
I wish I could understand what you guys were talking about, because I have not seen Code Geass.
Well, it's quite excellent. So worth watching.
But
It's
now
mecha,
I know that hundreds of people will be mowed down by or in a random moment.
Yeah, it's sorry.
It's just hundreds of people. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's instead talk about the deaths of thousands of people with SAO and the quote-unquote explanation of why they were trapped in a video game for 2 years. 10,000 random people. 4,000 of them die. And the survivors definitely have years of physical and mental therapy ahead of them. And you might wonder why. Why did this happen? Why would someone do such a thing? And you rack your brain for a reason. And finally, at the end of season 1, we meet the mastermind. And we're gonna get that answer, which is, I can't remember the reason myself. What? What? That is just an insane thing to write. And really, you can't think of a valid reason that makes sense in any situation for this story to work. Like, why would anyone what do they have to gain? Why would you do all this? And you can't think of an answer yourself, and neither can the author. And really, neither can anyone. So it's just, how did you come up with, I forgot.
Caroline, is that better or worse than if they tried to pull some like technobabble? If the person was like, the flux capacitor of the transducer motor failed and it was all the flux in the capacitance that created this subsystem of inability to pass through, and like if it was just something bogus like that.
Well,
Or
I
it's
mean,
better.
okay, so
It's
in the
funnier to just say,
SAO abridged
well,
series
don't
on
remember.
YouTube, which is definitely a better version of SAO in my mind, they had to figure out something other than I forgot to supplant into their abridged series. So their answer was that the mastermind actually accidentally trapped everyone in there. It was a glitch due
It
to
was
him
just a
being
prank,
overworked
bro.
and just insane on so little sleep and stress. So he accidentally glitched it so everyone would be trapped, and he doubled down. That so he just decided to make this sound like he didn't know what else to do except double down and make it sound like he meant to do all of this. And by the end he was like, yeah, this was just a really big mistake and I did not mean for this to happen. So yeah, that's a better reason than I don't know. Spoilers for SAO, by the way.
This is all spoilers. Everything we're talking about
I
is
know.
spoilers.
All right, your turn.
So a rug pull is just like something you don't expect. Is that right?
Yeah, I think my example that I just did, that was more of a rug pull than a Deus Ex Machina.
I think for me,
Or an ass
the
pull, really.
biggest rug pull, or whatever you want to call it, ass pull or whatever, is after Goku and Frieza fight on Namek.
How many of these are Dragon Ball?
Just two. Was it just two? Yeah, just two of
I
them.
think you did 3.
Nope. There was the Dragon Ball movie, and then
Oh,
this
that's
one.
the
Thank you very
difference.
much. Yeah. So Goku and Frieza fight on Namek for like 30 episodes, and then there's so much talk about how the planet's gonna explode in 5 minutes. And then that takes 10 more episodes, even though it's just 5 minutes. And then Frieza pushes Goku into a crevice full of lava, and he supposedly dies. Whatever. It's just a lot of stuff. And Goku's power vanishes. Everyone's pretty sure Goku's dead. Frieza's dead. Everybody's dead. All the Nameks are dead except Piccolo, I guess. So Piccolo, he escapes in the pod, I guess. So they're not extinct, but they will be. And then you find out 2 episodes later that Goku is alive because he's on Yardrit, because he jacks Frieza's ship or whatever. And then everyone's like, oh my God, Goku's alive. Like, that was a huge revelation for me when I was a kid. It was like, you haven't seen a million anime yet. You're 12 years old. You don't expect everything. Everything's face value sometimes. And Goku was alive. An amazing revelation. And it just like blew people away when they were kids. And then, probably 10 episodes later in the Android Saga, fucking Frieza's alive. And he shows up on Earth. And he's here to fuck you up. And he's half made of metal because Goku just shredded him into pieces. But he's still alive. And that no one expected both Goku and Frieza to be alive. And then, of course, Trunks comes in and just cuts Frieza into little pieces and kills him. But, that,
Yeah,
to me...
Trunks comes out of nowhere because it's the future boy, and everyone's like, "Where? What?"
And Future Trunks is fucking cool as shit. He's probably the coolest
is.
character in Dragon Ball. And everyone loves Trunks, and he's just... I love his Super Saiyan, like his like black... muscle shirt that he wears when he's so cool. But yeah, that whole thing was just totally unexpected and just I think was a total shock for little kids. So pretty neat stuff.
I feel like the difference is a rug pull is a set trap to make the audience think something, and then you're like, nope, psych, it was this all along. We got you good. An ass pull is like, oh shoot, our guy's about to die. We need to have some bogus reason for him to live. Oh, the power of friendship, and
Isn't that just a Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah, that's a Deus.
So the ass pull is Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, they're more similar.
Well, people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, they got it. Just
All right, well, I think you're up, Mason.
next one really isn't either, but I am just confused every time I watch it, and that is Howl's Moving Castle. Just because the whole second half of this movie, things just happen without any setup. And you're just like, why? Because it's adapted from a book. They couldn't adapt everything, and all of a sudden she's kissing people and it's princes, and this collapses, and this happens, and it's the heart of a star, and it's... it never made sense to me. I never could follow the second half of it, and it bothers me. And that's really all I have.
Oh wow.
Okay. That's fair.
It
I don't
bothers
know.
you.
It's not.
Well, fair enough.
It's not a. I feel like I so vividly know what happens in Howl's Moving Castle for the first half. And then as soon as the castle like starts to fall apart, so does the plot and setup and like the movie as an adaptation. And it's
It's symbolism.
But it's not good.
I don't. This is an unpopular opinion, probably, but I don't think Howl's Moving Castle is a very good movie.
I'm not huge on it either, to be honest. It's probably like my least favorite of the ones I've seen.
It's gorgeous. Howl is so sexy. I realize it much like the Titanic movie. All like the teenage girls are carrying Howl's Moving Castle into immortality or whatever. But
Billy Crystal is an amazing Calcifer.
He is, but like that movie is just like. I think Miyazaki himself said it needed to be like 4 hours long or something, and to adapt properly and give me a break. Like nobody can do that.
And I heard that in the actual, like in the original story, like that scarecrow thing is a villain and is really scary and frightens the main character.
People must have been pissed that read that book and they were like, "The fuck is this?" Oh, but Hal's so sexy. I forgive everything.
I mean, he is, and it's gorgeous. I felt like it was a good movie up until I can't explain anything that happens at the end because it feels so random and hodgepodge. But I don't know. I just wanted to gripe about it.
That's fine. Caroline, you're up.
I have my last one on the list, and this has to be one of the biggest Deus Ex Machinas ever in anime. It's so well known as something just so freaking stupid. Now, well, I say that, but Naruto it could be considered the asshole in Ex Machina anime. Like, we could have done an entire topic just on everything that happens in Naruto. But this one in particular is the king. So, the quote-unquote defeat of Madara Uchiha, the legendary ninja, regarded the greatest in history, built up to be the biggest bad in the entire show, from which that is the end game. Like, we have to defeat Madara, and
Mothra?
He has so many, just like several godlike abilities, including bringing an actual meteor to Earth. He killed thousands, fended off an entire army, plus the 5 Kages without breaking a sweat. How does someone like that die? Because it's not by his nemesis, who could feasibly do it. It's not by Might Guy, of all people, who pushed him to the brink. It's not Naruto and Sasuke, who narratively should have defeated him. He was able to fend all of them off. With all of their power-ups and their own godlike abilities, he was able to just boom, pow, they're done. Madara dies by Black Zetsu, which I don't even know what Black Zetsu is. But
me neither. Sounds delicious.
No, it's not. Using Madara to bring the rebirth of Kaguya. Now you might be wondering, who the frick is Kaguya? Because nobody knew. Nobody really knew who Kaguya was when she came about, but he died just in as a step into bringing the rebirth of Kaguya. And it's just it's kind of similar to the whole Death Note example, because she's barely a character, and for some reason she is the final boss. So in this case, when the writer of the story, which he has done, admits that he had to think of a roundabout way to defeat a character he made too OP, that deserves the biggest Ex Machina ranking, because good lord, that was so stupid.
You feel better now?
A little bit.
You needed to get that Naruto off your chest, didn't you?
I was thinking about it as I was writing this down. I'm like, wait a minute. There are so many other things that happen that don't make any sense. But this was the biggest one.
I've only seen about half of Naruto, and I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's phenomenal at the end and very frustrating for you. But
ask your wife. Ask Pancake what she thinks of Madara Uchiha's death.
Hey, Pancake. What do you think of Madara Uchiha's death? Kind of lame. That's what you said. All right. The last one I got here, and everyone knows this already, and I'm just saying it again because I want to make sure that everybody in the world is spoiled. And but you know what? Honestly, people, if an anime comes out in 2006 or something, and you haven't watched it yet, you ain't gonna watch it. And there's two reasons. One, if you were gonna watch it, you would have done it by now. Two, getting people to go back and watch anything that's like 10 or more years old is like an act of God. So I won't believe for a minute you're gonna watch Gurren Lagann at this point. But yes, Kamiya does die, or Kamina, whatever the fuck his name is. See, he's so old now, I can't remember his name. Kamina dies, and the whole second half of that anime is like a big what the fuck because it changes completely and turns into a fucking pile of crap at the end. But you know, that's Gurren Lagann for you.
It spirals out of control.
It spirals out of control, and everybody's able to like, you know, I can throw a planet with my robot because I'm so strong, and nothing has to make any sense. And you have to just say, well, it's anime, so shut up. It doesn't have to be realistic. Well, it started out pretty realistic, sort of, but you know, whatever.
So Mitz is wrong. Gurren Lagann is amazing.
Yep, I'm wrong.
It's just a clear evolution, of the themes and the messaging. Like, it makes sense that they get to where they get to because that's where it needed to go. The version of that where it is stupid when they go super galactic throwing planets for no reason is Darling in the Franxx, which is like Gurren Lagann, but it has no build-up, and they're just like, what if we fused and made a planet-sized 02 that can just blow up an entire planet because that's what we need. That is a Deus Ex Machina of godly proportions, and that was the final nail in that show, going to the absurd for no reason at all. So
yeah, but Darling in the Franxx is more about just watching 02 and Doggy Style for half that show.
Yeah, and then she went into like centaur mode, which is not quite what I'm looking for. Like, there was no thematic reason for them to go there, and it was so silly. But I do want to give a quick shout out in the chat to Kami, who mentioned a woman called Fujiko Mine, which had a Deus Ex Machina ending, but was also a phenomenal show. As well as she writes, one is she loves when Usagi uses the legendary crystal during the final battle of every season of Sailor Moon. But it's still pretty cool.
I was thinking about that too, because this thing literally is supposed to kill her if she uses it, and she never died from it. So
after multiple uses, that's resilience, baby.
That's the power of love, baby.
And I just want to give a shout out to our patron Clique Saitel again, who is an extremely generous patron of ours on Patreon, and this whole topic was for you, and thank you for recommending so many great topics for us that we will keep in our piggy bank here for future use. And if you want to be an unbelievably gracious supporter of ours, the way that Clique Saitel is, people that are watching can go to patreon.com/AAA podcast. But I think that's largely it for the topic. Does anybody else have anything else they want to throw in before we move into the news break?
There are so many more, but I feel like we have danced across the map of Deus Ex Machinas, because really, they're just so plentiful. But let's head into our in-show weekly trivia question. In Trigun Stampede, what is the amount of the bounty for Vash? And we'll give you the answer after the news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsuki's here, and I'm bringing you your anime news break. Getting us started off with some not all that positive news. The anime Kubo-san wa Mabu o Yurusanai, or Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Invisible, is now on a COVID delay. Episodes 7 and beyond will be delayed due to COVID-19. The 4th, 5th, and 6th episodes are scheduled to broadcast as usual in the next 3 weeks, but then are going to drop off starting on episode 7, and this is nothing new. There's been a number of other high-profile anime that are on delay as well. Ayakashi Triangle is indefinitely delayed, starting with its 5th episode. Nier Automata has confirmed that episodes 4 and beyond will be delayed. Unite Up episode 4 and beyond are on delay, and Lord knows how many more will also be delayed as, COVID continues to have a resurgence in Japan. So we'll have to see how this goes for Japan and anime, but for now, there are a bunch of anime that are currently delayed, and we'll keep reviewing to see if more get added to the list. Next up, Reddit has its Anime Award 2022 nominees revealed, and it's a better list than what Crunchyroll came up with. They revealed their annual Anime Award nominees for Anime of the Year, which include Chainsaw Man, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, Kaguya-sama Love is War, Spy's Family, Do It Yourself, Encouragement of Climb, Licorice Recoil, Ranking of Kings, Bocchi the Rock, and Akebi's Sailor Uniform. Now, aside from just being flat out too long of a list, it does have those fall 2022 anime on the list that are absent from the Crunchyroll Awards, so we'll have to see who comes out on top in the Reddit Awards, similarly to how we will for the Crunchyroll Awards, and those are determined later on. Next up, and more news, there is a comic book award. So the NTT Solomare Corporation's Comic Solomare ebook site, that's a mouthful, has announced the winners of its Minaga Irabu Denshi Comic Taisho 2019 Everyone Picks online comic grand prize. The grand prize winner for best comic / manga, whatever, is The Ogre's Bride, which is an adaptation of Kureha's novel by artist Jun Togashi. And the men's comic prize award went to My Stepmother and Stepsisters Aren't Wicked, and also Fushia Ashikumo's The Great Snake's Bride. Lots of brides in this award show. In the women's category, the winners were What Happened When There Were No More Girls at the Mixer, and also Your Highness, Your Inner Thoughts Are Gushing Out. So if you're a big fan of manga or just e-comics, look out for these titles, because apparently these are the cream of the crop, and you'll probably get to have something nice to enjoy. Next up, and lastly in the news, a lot of different businesses across many different industries are trimming their headcount heading into 2023 in anticipation of what many are saying will be a recession, and it seems that Hasbro is also doing the same. Hasbro has announced on Thursday that it's planning to cut 15% of its workforce globally, 1,000 positions this year, beginning in the next several weeks. The company also stated that it will announce a new organizational model, commercial alignment, leadership changes, etc. The company is expecting a 17% year-over-year loss of profitability and also revenue. And, of course, Hasbro is one of the biggest global maker of toys, including anime-related toys. So if you are a big fan of the toy industry, Hasbro is signaling that this is about to head on a downturn. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and now time to get back to the podcast. You've burned through all your podcasts, there's nothing else to listen to, boredom is coming, and you still have the whole afternoon left at work to get through. How are you going to get through this? Well, maybe you end up quitting your job, you can't afford your rent, and before you know it, you're on the street eating tuna out of a can with Henrietta over by the Piggly Wiggly and pooping against a tree by the Chick-fil-A on the corner. Listen, you could have avoided boredom, you could have kept your job and said peace out to Henrietta and her shitty tuna. If only you subscribed to the AAA Podcast's extra content, we would have carried you through that afternoon all the way to your warm bed with anime on the TV, with our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after parties. 8 extra exclusive episodes a month just for you for helping out the podcast. So special thank you. If you go over to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon, you can help us out, and we'll help you say peace to Henrietta.
Hey, Steve Bloom here, voice of Spike Spiegel, Vincent Valentine, Leron from Gurren Lagann, Guillerman from Digimon, and a bunch of other crap. And I am a total anime addict, dude. Tune in, or else.
Welcome back to the podcast. In Trigun Stampede, what is the amount of money of the bounty for Vash? The answer is $6 million double dollars. $6 million. Well, $6 million is not exactly a lot of money these days. Okay. Oh. $660 billion double dollars. Sorry. All right, we will get to that and more about that in a minute. But first, we have some enlightening recommendations from the world of film with our friend Mason. And it's going to be a good one. Mason, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for Unexplored Pictures with Mason.
That's right. It's another installment of the Mason Talks About Movies That Nobody Has Seen corner. And this week, it is a movie called Dozens of Norths, or Ikuta no Kita. This is a late 2021 release at just over an hour long, and it is a joint production between Yamamura Animation, which is based in Japan, and Miyu Productions, based in France. And this movie is scripted, edited, directed, and many more creative things by the indie powerhouse Koji Yamamura, who has produced tons and tons of experimental shorts, many of which you can find on YouTube and are cool. But his most notable directing effort before this is the 21-minute adaptation of Franz Kafka's A Country Doctor, which is a truly unnerving and powerful and weird and wonderful experience of this withering doctor in this like tundra just going through a really rough time. It's really cool. It's one of those classic, oh, it's kind of spooky outside, it's Halloween-y vibes. It's cool, but it's unsettling. And that's kind of what I was going into Dozens of Norths expecting. And it is a very interesting film. It's a bunch of vignettes of these densely populated miniature solitude worlds, like snow globes full of anxiety, which play out to this like lopsided soundtrack of dizzy, waltzy, carnival ragtime insanity that like agitates with repugnance. It's such a weird vibe. You'll be watching it and it shows this man dangling endlessly from the spinning rope. His like ankle's caught in it and he's upside down and he just is forever spinning. Or this village of these small little bug mite creatures that hold these big cloth water reservoirs that are constantly bursting seams, so they're endlessly trying to repair it and sew it back up. You have this puppeteer show where it's a set of hands that are hollow, in which another set of hollow hands is inserted, and it's endlessly like hollow hands all the way down, where all that's left for the puppeteer to control is like this twitching performance of fingers. It's so weird, and all is set with no dialogue, just some occasional text that appears on screen that offers like a sliver of insight to like what you're watching, and it's just dreary, and it's just full of these containers that are hoisted by cobwebs. It's just a fever dream that is best watched at like 2 a.m. when you really can't sleep, and you're like, am I awake right now? Am I asleep? It's a mood, and it's an art piece that is interesting, that is a unique look, in my opinion, on a lot of different forms of human suffering and all this stuff. But I think for the most part, I think the most casual viewer will be suffering themselves because it's kind of obtuse and strange, and there's no, things that you normally come to anime for. So if you are intrigued by like this really wacky, weird, braving like the coldest reaches of the anime medium, and it is cool to watch. It is a spectacle, and it is very awesome. Check it out. Dozens of Norths is a solitary and singular experience, but I think for most people, it's probably just going to be a bit too boring. Yeah, but it is unique, and I like it for that at least. So Dozens of Norths is pretty cool. It is a thing, and that's why I like it.
All right. Well, on that note, let's keep it rolling to mailbags.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
If you would like to submit a mailbag yourself, you can go to AAApodcast.com, click on the mail button, and ask whatever you want. Like we got Anon here, apparently anonymous, because they want to keep their names a secret. So they were listening to episode 423, and it included a great review of Devilman Crybaby, and the hosts praised its literary elements and symbolism, which is rare in anime these days. 4 years have passed since Devilman Crybaby. Are there recent anime series or movies with good story/symbolism for listeners? Thanks. Thank you, Anonymous. And Mitsugi, what do you think?
Nier Automata, if it ever airs. So that game, the game is just, the narrative in the game is one of the best you're ever going to see. And it definitely has a lot of thoughtful symbolism. A very thought-provoking video game. So if that anime ever gets finished, it's like stuck on episode 4 now or whatever because of COVID. But, if it ever finishes, that would be a good one. Also, Ranking of Kings is a pretty great story. So, and not your normal cut, your typical cup of tea as far as anime goes either. So still very recommendable.
All right. And Mason?
Watch Dozens of Norths because that's all that's in that movie. No, obviously when I think of symbolism in anime, my immediate thought goes to Ikuhara, the director of so many weird things, and Penguin Drum, and all kinds of stuff. But one that is more recent, after Devilman Crybaby, is Sarazanmai, a very strange story about kappas and butts and soccer and all kinds of weirdness. But there is his signature, symbolism all over the place, as well as the very Ikuhara-inspired Revue Starlight, which is a phenomenal series and movie. But yeah, almost every scene, every song, every performance in that is symbolic in some way. On top of that, if you are well-versed in the language of flowers and that symbolism, Naoko Yamada is a fantastic director, and Liz and the Blue Bird or the Heike story are both chock full of them.
Yeah, for me, I, of course, agree with the Heike story and Ranking of Kings. Both are great. In terms of symbolism, the only one I can really think of being very symbolic in its story is Beastars, as my first thought. Because of all the eat or be eaten kind of thing, carnivores versus herbivores, and, biases and that kind of thing. Definitely very prevalent in the Beastars story. So I suppose give that one a shot. If you haven't already, that is.
There's a lot of symbolic anime out there, but I feel like
I just can't really think of them.
recently I feel like they're just not as common. We're so chock full of rom-coms and isekai currently, and which, I don't know, both seem to lack, symbolism, something of that level of thought. That, in my opinion, of course, but, I just watched an anime where a kid fed meat to a wolf for an hour. So, and that's all he did.
Why were you watching that?
That's pretty cool, though, right?
Oh, it's pretty sweet. So, which is, speaking of which, we're going to get to our impressions, which is, something we do every quarter for the new anime that come out. We will each pass 2 anime from our grouping. Now, just so people know, we have 21 anime total between the 3 of us, 7 apiece, and we're only going to pass 6 of the 21. So while we sound very negative by failing a lot of these anime, that is why we have the listener choice voting. So at the end of the impressions, the listeners will get to pick 3 more anime for us to cover. We just can't pass everything generally because, that's math, right? We can only pass 2 out of 7. So the listeners come in and they pass 3 more at the end, and we'll have voting for that later on. The first anime we're going to do an impression on is Vinland Saga Season 2. So Vinland Saga Season 2 doesn't need a great deal of introduction. The original Vinland Saga did come out quite a number of years ago at this point, so it's about 3 years old. It came out in the summer of 2019, so it's 3.5 or so years old. So there are probably some of you that haven't seen Vinland Saga Season 1, and I'm telling you that you Cannot watch season 2 without watching season 1. It's at that like Attack on Titan level of depth that you will just have absolutely no idea what the hell's going on at all. So you definitely need to watch the first season first. This is done by Mappa, which is, one of the golden children of anime right now, I guess you could say. So Mappa is doing the animation for Vinland Saga Season 2. And it really opens up with this guy named Einar, who, as far as I know, is a new character, and his village is attacked by slavers, I think, and basically his mother and sister get killed, but he gets captured as a slave and sold to this guy's farm where he meets Thorfinn. And on the farm, the slave owner, sounds like he's kind of like a nice slave owner, sort of, because he says that if you guys will clear this forest so I can plant crops, you'll both have your freedom. Which sounds, right off the bat, he's offering them, a path to freedom, which sounds nice, and really it's probably just a way to make himself feel better because the forest is huge, and these two guys aren't going to clear this forest anytime soon, probably decade or more down the road. And also all of the people that live on the farm, there's a lot of like bodyguards and mercenary types, and they're all a bunch of assholes. So it's pretty rough. Thorfinn is kind of like Titanic. I mean, I can't even tell you really. I'm not even gonna say it because people will go back and watch season 1. Thorfinn is not a particularly chipper guy. I'll just say that without giving you any spoilers. So much so that in the 3rd episode of this anime, the mercenaries decide that they're going to help their master's son be a man by killing somebody. Like, oh, you'll be a real man if you can just kill someone. And it's like, oh, well, we happen to have people on this farm whose lives don't even belong to them. So they go and they grab Thorfinn and Einar, and they're going to kill Einar. And Thorfinn basically says, no, you know what? You can just kill me. I don't really care. So he just stands there and lets this guy like chop pieces of his body off with a sword. It's pretty, Vinland Saga is a pretty violent anime. It's definitely rated R. It's not, kid friendly at all. And it's just great. I mean, this anime is so fucking good. I mean, this is the easiest pass in a long damn time. I mean, the narrative is so strong that it's just it's when you watch other anime after Vinland Saga, you're almost like there's just like a cliff-size gap between these anime. Like, you go from watching Vinland Saga to virtually anything else I have from the winter, and this anime is like watching the fucking Godfather. The narrative is so strong, it's so tight, the animation is so good. The only thing about this particular season that I don't think is great is I don't find the ending or the opening particularly good, but they're very like soft and lame sort of compared to like the badass openings we had in the last Vinland Saga. But this anime is fucking great. I mean, holy shit. This is going to be on the anime of the year list 100% when we get to the end of the year. So easy fucking pass.
I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on!
Easiest pass ever.
It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to not hear you be a curmudgeon.
I mean, it's so good. There's just nothing bad to say. Honestly, it's a 5 out of 5.
You
easily.
searched and you were searching. Where's the bad? And you
There
failed.
isn't. The OP is like, makes you feel like you're getting ready to watch like, Dances with Wolves or some kind of like fluffy romance drama. Instead, it's like Vikings killing each other with axes. So you kind of expect a little more hardcore in the opening, and you don't really get that. But holy shit, it's fucking great.
All right. Mason, are you up next?
I'll go next. I have a show called Spy Classroom. This is done by Studio Feel. It's based on a light novel, and you can watch it on High Dive. So, this tells the story of nations that are at war, but because all the missiles and all that nonsense really isn't used anymore, everyone is all about spies now. Oh, we just had Spy Family. Maybe this show will be a Spy Classroom and be better. So our main character, Lily, is recruited into spy training, and she's in a class with a bunch of other spy girls who are all terrible spies. Great. So they're like, but you guys are being trained by the greatest spy ever. And with his training, all you like reject spies will form together the greatest team ever to do whatever grand mission you need to do, called the Impossible Mission. And to make sure that they're capable of doing the impossible mission, their mission to pass training school is to kill their teacher, the greatest spy ever. So it pretty much is just assassination classroom, and it's kind of silly. But anyway, espionage is always fun. That's why I picked this show, and I am not inherently anti-moe. Like right off the bat, if you want your girls to do nerdy things, badass things, cute things, or nothing at all, I'm fine with it. You know, anime tries to appeal to the lonely otaku, and it makes a lot of shows that are just full of female characters, and there's nothing wrong with that. Girls are cool, and there's been plenty of cool all-girl spy squadrons. I mean, Princess Principal had it, Lycoris Recoil had it to a smaller extent. Like, a group of ladies being spies, there's nothing wrong with that. It has as much potential to succeed as anything else. This show is so bad, though. And it is because not just the crummy writing or the egregious plot devices. The characters are the most lifeless and artificial I've ever seen. It is the most manufactured, mass-produced stamp of moe that I have ever seen. And it is confounding. You just are immediately dropped into a classroom of 15 girls that just all act so comically anime that it is impossible to differentiate themselves. And I get it. It's only a couple episodes. You need time to flesh out their characters and personalities, but all they have is like surface level quips, and they are just all replaceable. It is the most sepia tuned of anime, and it is just not good in a lot of ways, and it's not enthralling, and it's a lot of ass pulls in the show, and we're only a couple episodes in, so I just didn't have fun watching it. It just didn't connect with me off the bat, and I was pretty anti-Spy Classroom from the get-go, so I am going to fail this show because it's bad.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay.
All right. Well, first up on my list to impress upon today is the second season of Tokyo Revengers, otherwise known as the Christmas Showdown. Now, when we reviewed Tokyo Revengers the first season, I think I was the most favorable towards it, but still I wasn't really loving it, to be honest.
I never reviewed it, but I liked it.
Yeah. So I put it at the bottom of my list just because I feel like it needed, I wanted to watch a few more episodes to see where it would go in the second season, because it was also like left off on a cliffhanger on the first season. So I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens. And I also just feel like in general it should be touched upon in our impressions. So I figured I will take the bullet for you two. So starting off, I realized that I've forgotten so much about what happened in the first season. There are so many names, so many characters, so many allegiances and betrayals that I could not keep track and hold it in my brain between season 1 and season 2. And so with season 2, it basically starts off with main character Takemichi. He gets out of his predicament where he's about to get killed, and he's in the present time. He is currently one of the heads of the gang, and it's become massive. They're in all of these super bad illegal deals and businesses and stuff like that. They are on the dark side, this gang, surprisingly. And he's one of the big leaders. And he comes to realize that he himself has become evil as well. Now that he is back from the past, he's like himself, like as he usually is. But then he's shown a video of what he did the day before his normal consciousness is brought back to his present day body. And he is evil. He calls for the death of some random person. He's like, I don't care, kill this person. Little does he know that person is Hina, the girl she's trying to save. So yeah, he calls for the.
Wait a second.
No way. Could that be true?
I have given the show a lot of crap, but I have to give it credit that I now forever to my grave will know that Hinata is Takamichi's first girlfriend, the one that was killed at the beginning, and she's dead now in the past, and he has to go back in time to save his girlfriend, the first one he ever had. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So she keeps on dying. Like there's like every single time he goes back to the past, he comes back thinking, okay, we're okay now. The gang is no longer evil. Hina's gonna live. Hooray, hooray. But no, she always dies. It always goes to crap. So he always has to go back and try to fumble his way through the past because he's an idiot and he has no idea what to do. And he comes back to the present expecting things to change, but it doesn't. And he comes back to the present this time and he realizes, holy shit, my morals have gone into the toilet. And he's now ordering the deaths of people that he is not certain who they even are because he didn't realize it was Hina when he ordered that death. So he comes to this realization. He's like, shit. And he goes back into the past again to try to avert this outcome. And it's just, it's over and over again. And there's really not going to be any, I feel like there's just not going to be any change to the formula until it eventually works. And I don't know how it's going to eventually work because Hina always dies. And then I also came to another realization with this show. I don't give a crap about this stupid gang. The gang is dumb. And I get it. If you're in a situation where there's gangs and they're kind of threatening you, you kind of have to protect yourself by forming your own. Maybe. Okay. But if you're going to form a gang, you can't be like, oh, this gang is not about hurting people. Meanwhile, they start fights every day. This gang isn't about doing illegal shit, despite the fact they do illegal shit all the time. And how are they always so surprised that this street gang is not a good thing? They're like, no, it's a great thing. I'm like, no, it's not. This gang should just disband. Just leave it be, because honestly, it's not worth it's just not worth everything. So that got me pissed off. I'm like, what did you expect was going to happen? People got thrown in jail, people died, and your life sucks. Don't join a gang. People, just don't. PSA. And overall, I just think that everybody, based on what happened to Takemichi, it seems like now it's clear. Every single character, no matter who they are, no matter what their morals, their ethics, how good they seem, they all have equal opportunity becoming the biggest asshole of the year. They are all equally probable to become evil. And that's just stupid. Because Takemichi's the one person that should not have been affected by evil. He's the main character. And he has the highest morals of all of them. So, with all that said and done, I don't care about the club. I don't care about Takemichi. I don't care about their very easy to affect morals and ethics. I barely care about Hina. Tokyo Revenger Season 2 has failed.
I will be surprised if it's above a 2.
All right.
Sorry,
Goodbye.
I had to get that off my chest.
I am going to do the next impression. It's on Trigun Stampede. So, Trigun is an anime that came out a long time ago. Came out in 1998 in the spring. And I was here for it. I watched Trigun on Toonami. Pretty sure it came on along with Cowboy Bebop and Dragon Ball, etc. And Outlaw Star. It was in there with that grouping and came out in the same time period too. So this anime is definitely a show that came out with the Outlaw Stars and the Bebops and the Triguns, and we're all cosplayed at the same time because Vash the Stampede has a really great design and people love Vash the Stampede. The original was done by Studio Madhouse, and this alternate version, we'll call it, is done by Studio Orange. And this anime is, first of all, you should know, 100% CG. So not everybody's in for it. I understand. You know, I like anime cells, and I wish everything was still made with anime cells. So now you have hand-drawn animation on computers, and now you don't even have that. Now we were moving further away from anime cells with stuff like this. and it's becoming more common. If we get to a place where anime is all CG all the time, I'm going to have to quit watching anime. For sure. Now, Trigun Stampede. It's not the same as the original, okay? It starts off with Vash's backstory, which the original does not start off with. That's kind of given to you much later in the show. There are characters that are missing. So in this anime, there is Meryl Streep is in this anime, but her friend Millie Thompson. Millie Thompson's not in this, and they're not insurance workers anymore either. Meryl wants to be a newswoman in this anime. So, there's a lot of differences. Also, in the trivia, we said that, the bounty was $6 million double dollars. Well, in the original, it's 60 billion. So we've had quite a lot of deflation in the last 20 years. In Trigun Stampede. And, it is a fast-moving anime. There's a lot of action involved. Mostly it's just people who want to capture Vash because he has a bounty, essentially, which is not how the original, the original kind of played out the same way. However, towards the end of the first 3 episodes, you get your first look at Knives. These characters have the dumbest names on earth. His name is Knives Millions. I mean, good fucking God. That's just
It's also hard to say.
It's worth failing just for that, because just
How did they even
just
say
kiss
that in
my
Japanese?
ass. I don't know. I'm too tired and sick to do that, but not well. Vash's Stampede, much better name. And Vash is very much like a goody-goody, I want to help everybody marry Sue character. So, he might have a bounty, but it's not really real. It's like he doesn't really deserve it. So, that being said, this anime is... It's just too hideous to look at for 12 episodes. I mean, honestly, and it's not even close to as good as the original Trigun. So I don't even know why they bothered making this. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody asked for another Trigun. Just go back and watch the original. It was already great, okay? So, I mean, Trigun was, up there with Bebop for a while, and then it went away, and Bebop hung around, but... Yeah, this anime is not especially good. If you want to watch Trigun, go watch the original from 1998, and that's about it. So, gonna fail it because it's really just not worth watching.
You shall not pass!
Well, let's go from one all-CG show to another.
Oh, boy.
This is Kaina of the Great Snow Sea, Oyukiumi no Kaina. So... This is Polygon Pictures as opposed to Studio Orange, who has been stepping up their game as of recently. This is another work they are doing based on the world of Tsutomu Nihei, who did Knights of Sidonia and Blame and a bunch of other stuff. So, pretty interesting dude, tells pretty interesting stories. This one tells the story kind of the Great Snow Sea, which is a massive snow at the bottom of the world, essentially, where characters live and do their things and travel on ships. And it's also blanketed by this massive tree-like system of essentially atmosphere supported by giant roots, where people live on the top of the world, essentially, the atmosphere. And Kaina is someone who lives at the top. He is like, man, everyone's dying out here. The trees aren't providing us what we need. People are dwindling. Oh no, what are we going to do? He's kind of foraging. He's kind of scavenging. It kind of feels like the beginning of Noshka, where he's just out there hunting bugs, and it's pretty cool. And essentially, down at the bottom, where there's not much contact between them, there's a princess who's escaping this ruthless militia type thing, and in her escape, she boards this essentially hot air bug balloon and floats on up to the top of the atmosphere, where she comes in contact with Kaina, and essentially we have these 2 strong characters from 2 different worlds who now have to work together and figure out what they're going to do to improve both their lives. And it's pretty cool. Yes, it is CG. Yes, it is a little choppy, and the characters look plasticky. But for the most part, I would say that their movements and the choreography that the CG accommodates for looks really decent. The bugs and things that are supposed to look kind of alien and weird look all right because the art style facilitates that. but most notably the background art is fantastic. It's all hand drawn still, and it looks really cool. And somehow the blocky characters exist within it pretty well. So I like the visual presentation of the show. It probably doesn't have the same polish that Trigun has, but nonetheless, I thought it was really compelling. Kind of scratches that itch of adventure, of mystery, of fantasy mysticism, and I was not really loving a lot of my other shows, so I will actually be passing kind of The Great Snow Sea. I think it has some potential, and I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when I was making my list, and I think I had it on there somewhere. So I'm excited to eventually get into it myself.
It's just a little doofy looking, but at least Polygon Pictures is like when they started with Knights of Sidonia, like that was very tough to watch. Just visually, it wasn't doing much for me. But I think since the Godzilla movies, Drifting Dragons, I think they're getting better. So yeah, it still is inherently a CG show that doesn't look great. I want to see what happens.
Well, my next anime that I am impressing upon is Ningen Fushin. Adventurers who don't believe in humanity will save the world. So this was not the highest thing on my list, but I saw it on my anime list and I'm like, hey, this is, I mean, it's not an isekai, it's a video game based fantasy world. But the one thing that I was kind of interested in is the fact that this group of adventurers, it seems more balanced than others because there were 2 guys and 2 girls. And I'm like, hey, great, 2 guys instead of a guy and all girls who will fawn over said guy. So I'm like, great. Okay, so that's not horrible. And also I kind of was not... I was a little bit interested by the premise in that it's a group of people that were fucked over so many times, or not so many times, but grandly fucked over by people that they trusted.
Grandly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
grandly
the
fucked.
rare Caroline fuck. No, she's gonna go back and correct it. No, grandly fucked. I like
grandly. Yes,
I like
doubled
it.
down.
Yeah. So you have the main guy character who is the blandest, of course, Nick.
Nick? His name is Nick?
His name Nick.
Oh my
Okay, Nick is fine
God.
as long as the other names are
pass.
like it fits. So what other names are we dealing
one
with?
second. I need to let me look up the names of everyone in this cast because I kind of forgot.
Like you can't hit with like a Mihei, a Aharu, a Joe Bob, and like Sakamoto. Like it needs to be cohesive.
Okay, so in our cast of characters, we have Tiana, whatever, Curran, Zem, and Nick.
Well, I think I've heard worse, but
yeah, it's not awful, but it's not great.
Okay, so the show opens up with Nick being kicked out of his party, which is apparently it was a pretty decent party, pretty well known. And the reasoning is really strange because there are a couple things that they mix into being the reason why he's kicked out, but none of them make a total sense. One of them being is the fact that apparently somebody in the party stole from them, and then he says, "Hey, they stole from us. Shouldn't we do something about it?" And his leader says, "No, actually, your attitude sucks, and you're not cut out to be an adventurer. So we're gonna kick you out." And the reasoning, I don't understand it whatsoever. And then, in a strange twist, he becomes a huge fan of an idol. He's wearing the uniform and everything, all those guy idol fans. They go into her concert, and he's like, "Yeah, I love this idol, woo!" And then that kind of that sticks around for a little while during the first episode. I'm like, wait a minute, is this really what this show is about? And then he's not really. Then it twists back, and it's back into this old Adventurers Guild thing, where he is upset. He got kicked out of his party. He was also dumped by his girlfriend for some reason. I don't know. And then he goes to a bar, and he sits down, and he slams his mug on the table. He says, I have lost my faith in humanity, or something like that. He said something like that. And then so did 3 other people who decided to slam down their mugs, and they shouted the same thing. And then they realized, is this love at first sight for their party? So yes, he sat down with Curran, Tiana, and Zem. They all been fucked over similarly. Tiana, I think she was in a school. She was in a magic school. Then people were insinuating that she was cheating or something because she was so damn good at magic. And then her fiance dumped her for somebody else, or she was bullying somebody told her, somebody was saying that like, oh, Tiana's bullying me. And she's like, wait a minute, no, I'm not. Who are you? Etc. And then we have a Zem, who has a very serious backstory where he's a cleric. So basically a priest. And he has this girl who helps him out, getting him some things for potions or whatever. The girl decides to make some moves on Zem. He's like, wait a minute, I'm a man of the cloth. And so she says, that's so stupid, I hate this. And then I'm going to accuse him of being a pedophile. And it works.
Jesus.
Yes, so he gets kicked out. Gets excommunicated. And then we have Curran, who has a little bit more of a backstory that they get into over a course of a couple episodes. Her party was going into a dungeon, and then they betrayed her and made her act as bait and killed her. They tried to kill her, and they stole her shit. And I'm not entirely certain why they decided to portray her in this very strange moment when it seems like they've been together for a long time. I don't know. But they all came together, and so they decided, let's form our own party, except that we will trust each other as much as we really want to, but we will also not trust each other. And I kind of, that whole premise, I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. It's okay. But yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry. That was a long-winded way of saying that it's not good. If you want to go check out some of the horrible animation that this show has to offer, go to our anime channel in our Discord, and you'll see 2 very specific examples where one guy is like walking past one of the characters. And if you are watching on Twitch right now,
God,
I will
this.
display what exactly he does.
Oh, she's just basically a character on a popsicle stick being slid through the screen without moving.
This way. You just glides across the screen, blocking our view of the character behind him.
And reminder that if you're not watching on Twitch and you're like, man, they're doing all this fun visual stuff, and Mason's eating brownies, and Caroline's
did you eat a
eating jelly
brownie?
beans. I had a brownie.
Jealous.
Oh, I'm jealous.
You should join the Twitch, Mitz.
I'm gonna make some fucking cookies out of this.
All of this gets put up on YouTube later, so if you're like, oh, I gotta go back and watch that, you're more than welcome. Anyway, what else was the other thing, Caroline?
And the other thing, which I had to actually get into the 4th episode to watch. I had dropped this by the 3rd episode, but somebody was telling me you have to watch the first couple minutes of the 4th episode because it has the worst stair walking down animation that you've ever seen. And so I found it, and I also posted a video onto our anime channel if you want to check it out. We have Nick, and he's walking downstairs, and he's not even connecting to the stairs, and he's like skipping steps, and it looks so bad. It's the animation's so bad. They have to cut away every 5 minutes so that they can avoid animating them talking. And it's just not all that interesting. And the idol apparently will come back because she's in the OP or the ED or something. And yeah, that's strange. But yeah, it's not good. I'm sorry.
That is one big pile of shit.
All right. The last impression is oh no, there's one more after this. The Misfit of Demon King Academy Season 2 is the next impression I'm going to do. So, of course, this is a follow-up of the original Demon King, the Misfit of Demon King Academy, which came out... God, this anime has a long fucking title. The full title is The Misfit of Demon King Academy, History's Strongest Demon King Reincarnates and Goes to School with His Descendants. You gotta be shitting me. Oh my god. These people, they don't even come up with titles for anime. They just describe the entire plot line in the title. It's just unbelievable. So this anime came out in 2020. It was done by Silverlink. And so it's been gone for a couple years, but it's still done by Silverlink. So the Misfit, who is the Demon King, Enos Voldigode, is sort of back at peace at his academy, getting ready to like have classes with his classmates who are still bickering about who is pure royal blood and who is not pure royal blood, because the school is full of like haves and have-nots basically. And they all assumed in the first season that Anos was a have-not until he showed that he's a million times stronger than all of them combined, and is basically immortal, because that's how these anime are. This season is very fast, so I almost feel like they're just like cliff notesing their way through the story of this light novel, honestly, because it just moves so fast that it's almost like it's very difficult to keep up with and comprehend, what the fuck is going on. It starts off with this scene with like a forest spirit, and quickly just jumps back to the academy where a new teacher's introduced, and then the teacher kind of displays his cred, so to speak, by saying that he's connected to the four evil royals / kings. And then I'm like, who the fuck? Like, who are the four evil kings? Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know who this guy. They must introduce at least a dozen new characters in the first episode who are barely explained at all. And then basically in the episodes 2 and 3, they're just fighting. Oh, if like this battle breaks out with almost no explanation. And the Anos's posse of girls that he has all get split up, and they all end up having their own opponent. So there's like all these one-on-one battles happening, and there's just like a very fast narrative occurring, and it's very difficult to keep up with. And honestly, it's kind of shocking because the first season was pretty slow. Like, Anos was reincarnated or whatever, and then he's a baby and he grows up, and then he takes him like probably three or four full episodes to even have both the main two female characters like hanging around with him. So this anime season feels like it's moving at least 3 times as fast as the last season, which is a little surprising, to be honest. To have it just like switch gears like that, and go from second to fourth gear, all at once. And this anime doesn't look horrible. It has pretty much the same music opening style as the last one. It's fairly consistent. And a lot of the action scenes can be good because there's a lot of magic being used. And of course, Anos is still, so powerful that nobody will ever beat him, and he's as smug and, overly sexy to all the female characters as anybody ever will be. But this anime season
Dark Snyder level?
It's way past that. I mean, he's
way past the Dark Schneider?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's similar, okay? Like, it's similar, except that Dark Schneider is kind of like a very bubbly character where he's, an asshole more or less, but he's also like very animated in the way he behaves. Whereas Anos Voltigode, it has all of that like cred with the ladies, but he's very just flat. He doesn't really have a lot of exuberation to him, so he's not that entertaining to watch. But he will still he will still come out on top in every scenario that possibly could occur, because that's just how this anime is, and it's just not very good. It's very sad. The last season I thought was okay. I passed the last season, but this season just doesn't have it's not connecting the dots correctly to have a cohesive narrative. It's moving so fast. I don't even know who these fucking people are that are fighting. I don't know who the 4 kings are. They never introduced them in the last season that I recall, and it's just too much. So I'm going to fail Misfit of Demon King Academy Season 2.
How about no?
How about no? Fuck's given. I don't give a fuck. All right. Mason, do you have one more?
I do, but we can save it for next week if you want.
Well, I think we covered enough. So
yeah, I think so too.
All right. Well, we passed Vinland Saga Season 2, which is... There's not a single person watching anime in the modern day that should be skipping Vinland Saga. Like, you need to watch this anime. I mean, it is... it's at Attack on Titan levels of great. Except I think Vinland Saga Season 1 was better than Attack on Titan Season 1. Ooh. And from what I've seen, Vinland Saga Season 2 is a whole lot better than Attack on Titan Season 2, which most people think is like the worst part of Attack on Titan. This season 2 is, at this point, and then not to be like shitting on Attack on Titan, but Vinland Saga is better than Attack on Titan. So at least at this point, so people really should go watch Vinland Saga for sure. So we passed that, and we passed a surprising pass, Kaina of the Great Snow Sea, which I saw the photos of it while you were doing your impression, and I think it looks really cool. So I'm interested to see how that one pans out, and hopefully the CG is not too hard to watch. So. And next week we will be continuing our impressions, and we'll be wrapping those up, a couple weeks from now, and then we'll open up that listener choice for you, so you can pick your own anime. Again, if you want to be on the cutting edge of that, follow the social media or join the Discord at AAAdiscord.com, which really all the listeners should be on the Discord, because that's where everybody is. So, all right, Caroline, get us out of here.
All right, I'm doing it. And just as a side note to Captain Avatar in the Twitch chat, he's wondering where I can find the poor-ass animation of Ningen Fushin, and I will repost the links in our anime channel on the Discord if you want to go find that. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. It was a lot of fun, and you can continue the fun at Twitter for our account there at AAA Podcast. We're on Facebook as well. We're on Discord. Just go to the top bar of our website, aapodcast.com, where you can find information on watch parties, clubs, and tons of other discussions. And we are also on TikTok. You can find us at _anime_addicts. And we hope that you will join us next time for our second round of Winter Impressions. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. See you later.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.